Hey, everybody. Sorry for being just a minute late. That's Sam Graham. We're going to talk to him just a minute. First of all, we're going to, Phil Harris, we've got on the remote line, so you might not see him, but he's here with us. How you doing tonight, Phil?
I'm doing well. We're traveling on the road. Last minute plans on vacation this week, so kind of a ride right now, but I'll try to do the best I can.
Well, Howie just made the point that you was in Vegas not long ago, so do you ever work?
Yeah, 2 or 3 days a week.
I think
I have to.
I think it's rarely. In the middle, well, he's going to the left now. Over there on that side now, Mr. Howie Chaney. How are you, Howie?
I am so privileged to be able to work with the traveling man, rambling man, Phil Harris.
Yes. Why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest, Howie?
Hey, tonight we got the privilege of having one Coach Sam Graham. We brought Sam on because he started something a little over 28 years ago called Football for Christ. It took a little hiatus during the COVID era, but this year he's back doing it again at Section High School with the help of Coach
Riley
Edwards. Yes, sir. Sam, welcome to the show, man.
Glad you have me on. I'm glad to be here.
So if you will, Sam, tell us a little bit about the Football for Christ and tell us how you got started in this.
Well, it was in 1996, and my brother is a pastor, and he was pastoring at Nazareth Baptist Church. And I had talked to a roommate of mine at UNA. We had talked some about maybe doing a football camp. And then I was at the church that Sunday, and Roman Colburn, if you remember that name, was at Alabama from Fort Payne. And after the service that day, it was just like it was, I don't know, meant to be. We sat there and talked about different things, and then also the football camp. Well, about 3 weeks after that, I know that was a up deal, but about 3 weeks, I think it was, after it, football camp at Fife High School. He was the principal there, and he was a church member there. And I said, could we do that there? He was like, Lord, yeah. And of course, that was a hurried up, quick deal put together, but God put it together, and it's been going ever since. Actually, there was since COVID, there was a couple of years that it's 4 years we didn't do that. The last year is 2019, and 5 years, whatever it is. And really, if this is the 25th year of doing it, if we would have kept doing it straight, I don't add real well, but it would be probably 29th year if we'd have kept going. You know what I mean? But the COVID sort of put everything crazy. And then when my dad got sick, really, we just didn't do it. So, and praise the Lord, Riley wanted to do it up there.
Yeah, at Section High School. So I know Phil's got a few questions for you. So, Phil, I'll turn it over to you, buddy.
Okay. Well, Coach, first of all, of course, I know your family a little bit. I mean, when you used to coach at Bellyhead, you had 3 young girls. They've kind of grown up now.
Right.
When you coach football, and I saw this at Bellyhead, all these kids that you interact with, they kind of become your kids. I mean, I know you have this camp, but these young people are special to you.
Yeah, they are. And, I mean, I try all those, I've had some probably good times as far as the scoreboard would say, as a defensive coordinator, and we're coaching as an assistant in football. But as a head coach, I've had some crazy times. I've been a head coach 5 years, and they've been crazy, every one of them. Not to say that we hadn't had some wins along the way. There's some big wins, but winning is it is, overall, if you're looking at sports, we always want to look at the scoreboard. But I like to say winning's not, it's not all about the scoreboard. True winning is in life. And I'm not afraid to say it. I'd say it anywhere, and I'm not being boastful or whatever. I just believe it with all my heart. Winning's a relation with Jesus Christ, Him alone, and that's what this camp's about. I mean, it's going to teach football. Yes, they'll go out there and work. They'll work, but there'll be people share a testimony of what God's done in their life. And I just love those kids. Going back to what you're saying, I love those kids. I don't care if it's from the star player to the very last guy on the bus, whatever you would say, the last manager. I think you just love on them. I think that's a big deal, and they're humans, and you know how fast it goes, man. You're coming through, and you're I'll use an example. You're a sixth grader out there running up down a sideline. I know I did with my dad coaching all those years, and of course he's assistant football and he coached basketball, but I was always on the sideline or whatever. And then all of a sudden you blink your eye, you're out there playing junior high ball. You blink your eye, you're playing college ball. You blink your eye, you're out of school. Then before you know, it just goes, and it goes fast. So I think you ought to love on young people for sure and try to make a difference.
Yeah. Well, Coach, I know I've got a nephew. I don't know if you remember him. It was Keegan Johnson when you coached the
remember.
And he still says you are his favorite all-time coach, mainly because you were one of them coaches that always inspired people.
Well, I tried. I don't know if I did very good, but my heart wants to. That's sure. But tell him I said hello and I love him. I hadn't talked to him in a while.
Yeah, I sure will. He still talks a lot about you.
Well, tell him I said God bless him and I love him.
Yeah. Well, Coach, and you get into, Coach, Clint Graham, which is your dad, was he your big inspiration in getting into coaching?
Well, I was raised in the gym, and then whoever the head football coach was, really the way it was there at Sylvania High School's where that's at, where he was almost 20 years. Whoever the head football coach was, I don't know if that was by them or the administration, Mr. Parrish and other principals, but it seemed like always the head basketball coach, yeah, they might have assisted where they could on the varsity, but they did the junior high, the junior high football, and vice versa with the head football coach or whatever. But I just remember, it was always being on the sideline Friday night, and I wasn't very good in basketball. My daddy probably wanted me to be good, but I wasn't very good at all. And but I always loved football, and just sitting there. I remember as a little kid, a real little kid, being on the sideline, and a guy you played for, Jim Kirby's the head football coach at Sylvania, and I'm sitting there looking up at him like he's bigger than life. That's the football coach. And then, of course, there was others or whatever, and I can't name every one of them. I probably could, but we ain't going to sit here all night with that. But, yeah, just watching how coaches and my dad, of course, I was around him more than any, but how just the impact was bigger than the scoreboard. Although you want to win, you bust your butt to win. But I've seen all kind of different angles of where different people came, and it wasn't near about X and O's or dribbling the ball or shooting the ball or whatever. It's about life and the difference a coach could make. They didn't go, and I'm not knocking at all, whatever. They didn't go the Baptist preacher right to start with. They went to their coach. And when life may have been falling apart, they went to their coach. I seen guys laying in their living room just in tears, squalling like a little baby because something in life went crazy. And we all know it happens. I mean, life's life. It goes crazy on all of us. But I seen the difference a coach could make. And as I grew older, and then when I went off to college, I played for a guy named Bobby Wallace, a player's coach, if there ever was one. But I played for a defensive coordinator and ended up working for him at UNA named Bill Hyde. And Bill Hyde, only way I could say is like a second daddy to me. And the way I went from seeing that with my daddy and the way Coach Hyde did players that he coached at UNA and tried to make a difference in their life, not as he would coach the crap out of them. And he could coach some defensive football, I can tell you that. But let them know real quick it was bigger than that. It was about life's bigger than just the game of football or whatever. And I was like, I want to do that for young people. That's what I want to do.
Well, yeah, Coach, and I'm going to reference to this, and I'll turn it over to those guys to ask you some questions. But, when I was going to college, they always said when I was taking classes that to be successful, you needed to brand yourself. And I never agreed with that because it's like in school, you're playing for a brand, you're building a brand. What I think makes you successful in life is the identity you come out with, win or lose, or the legacy you leave. Win or lose, it does not matter. Just because you've won 5 national championships don't make you a great person. It's that identity and that legacy you leave, is what's important. And this is what I want to refer to because, like, for instance, like when you think of, let's say, LeBron James, first thing that pops in your mind, great basketball player. But then you come around and you think about a player like, let's say, Reggie White. People thought of him more than a football player. He was larger than life. And he, I think where he touched people was his religious beliefs, and he continued to talk about that, and he lived that lifestyle. And that's like, and this is where I want to compliment you. When I hear somebody say Sam Graham's name, the first thing that pops into my head is a man of Christ, because that's just the label to me that follows you. The rest of everything else is secondary. So, that's a compliment to you, and I've always wanted to say that to you, but we don't get to see each other very often.
Well, God bless you, brother. And I feel the good Lord every day. I strive to want to make a difference and be Christ-like. I get emotional since I had some health issues a couple of years ago or whatever, and man, I get emotional real quick. I'm not trying to be a baby. Guys, you talking about it's about started squalling. But not on my behalf or whatever, but you talk about Reggie White, you talk about dudes. It's about making a difference in people's lives. And that's what camp's all about. It's trying to make a difference in a kid's life, whether he's, he can't even walk chewing gum at the same time, or he looks like Bo Jackson, whatever it is. I mean, it's about making a difference. And Coach Hyde that I played for at UNA, and he'd say a statement maybe sometimes. I'm not talking about all the time, but he'd say, your inners need to be a whole lot bigger than your outers. And what he meant, it's fine to be you. Hey, be big, fast, as strong as you can. but you better be right on the inside. And the only way to be completely right is with the good Lord, with Jesus. I know people don't like to say that term, but I'll say it ever. I'll say it till I die, anywhere, because that's, I mean, reading the good book, that's the truth. That's not me saying it.
Bill, do you have a follow-up?
No, y'all go ahead. Y'all, this is for you. I'll ask something a little later. Y'all take off with it.
Coach, you got a message here. Stacy Smith said, love you, Coach Sam Graham.
Well, I love him too. Love his son. Stacy Smith now Phil Harris probably say he's a wimp. I'm just
No, I won't say that, but I tell you one thing, when he's around, you better have your head on a swivel.
Yeah, I guarantee you, I love him. I love Stacy Smith. I shouldn't have said, I was messing, because I know you. Yeah,
Coach,
I love.
Why does sports work as such a great bridge to God and Jesus and the message?
Well, I think one thing from a little what we was talking about, Brother Phil said, did your dad influence the coaching? I mean, there's a lot of influence. He had a huge influence on me just from what I seen growing up. But and I know, I mean, I'm sure y'all see the same thing or whatever, but in growing up around all my life, being a part of coaching, whatever, playing ball, coaching ball, being around ball, I've seen the game of football. I've seen guys that look like that they could run head on through a tree, and the tree wouldn't win. They would win. They look like big men that just would knock the feelings out of your teeth. But I've seen men in that locker, and for whatever reason, I know the reason, really. That's what I'm trying to lead to. I don't know why I said it that way, but they've sat in their locker, and all of a sudden you'll see tears running down their cheek. I can't explain that other than just a great passion for this great game. I will say this: God can use anything as a tool. God can use anything as a tool. And through sports, through somebody, whatever, they hit a ball, they shoot a ball, they whatever. God can use anything as a tool. Playing a guitar, somebody can sing like a bird. God can use anything as a tool. God can use anything as a tool. I don't know. I'm just making up, but I ain't making up. God can use anything. Wherever you work, whatever you do, God can use anything as a tool. But I do know that in football, it's a very emotional game. And if a coach is coaching for the right reason and they care about those inners being a whole lot bigger than their outers, they'll listen to what you say, brother. I mean, those kids, they get emotional about the game. They're so fired up about the game, whatever. I'm not talking about right before a game on Friday night. Sure, you see that a lot of times. People are so fired up, they can't hold back. I've seen guys just right back start screaming or whatever because they're so fired up to go out and play on those Friday night lights or on Saturday or whatever it be. But I've seen that, I mean, where they're sitting there in tears at other times just because they're very passionate about the game, but they're very passionate about their coaches and listen to what they say. And a coach affects people one or the other. He's going to lead them in a positive way or a negative way. And love, it all boils back to love. Love's the greatest word on earth. That people use and abuse that word, but love held Jesus to the cross. That's a big, big word. He loved us so much he died for us. But love is a big, big word. And I think when you love kids, and those inners is bigger than the outers, if you truly love kids, and I know Brother Phil said that a while ago about love, I think that word, if it is used the way it should be, and you love those kids, and I'm gonna tell you what, love sometimes is very tough. Shoot, love. What about your own father or whatever? Hey, he truly loved you. That's why he wore your butt out over something stupid you did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know very well what you mean.
Yeah, I very well too. But wore your hand or parts out because he loved you. He didn't want you to make that same mistake again. Well, in football, hey, a coach, if that kid's if he's not doing what he's coached to do, probably gonna get, they probably gonna get their butt running. I don't know what it'd be, whatever they up downs, whatever. Love will be tough sometimes, that's for sure.
Howie, I'll come to you after this question. You said something that's very near and dear to my heart, and it's we started this podcast network 3 or 4 years ago, and we bring a lot of sports on here, but we're also not scared of the message that we need to bring on here, which is the message that you bring. When you
Amen.
talk about people using at their exposure, whatever they have, I think about Tim Tebow and wearing the eye black. And I'm a Tennessee graduate, so Tim Tebow might not be my favorite person. He sent me to a house after 3 plays one time. So, but when those players like Tebow or Reggie White comes along, or even, when I was in elementary school, I looked up to the high school players just the same. They could
Yes.
hit 316 on their face. It meant the same. Uh, Tell me what that opportunity, player to player, and the ability of a player to share the message, inadvertently or inadvertently, picking someone up off the ground. There's a lot of opportunity to show your love one another, even if you're playing against someone.
That is right. And I think if you start when I think one thing in a locker room, we're not here to talk about exactly that, but it leads to something. I think a room. I'm a locker room. To be honest with you, when I was little and I was growing up, I ain't gonna call no names, but I could. And they'd be mad at me. They'd laugh a little while though, but I went my butt because sometimes a locker room, if those coaches are not right there, making sense. If they're not right on top of what's going on right in the locker room, a locker room can be very nasty. I don't know how X-rated. You know what I mean? Because it ain't a very good place. But I'm gonna tell you what, it takes a saw log for a backbone for a guy that hey, there's peer pressure everywhere in a locker room. You know what I mean? There is. You think about that ninth grader, that first spring, I'll use that ninth grader that's become that 10th grader, and his butt's dressing in the varsity locker room for the first time. And you think about how many times those elders, because of peer pressure, and a kid's life changed forevermore over some stupid decision he made because somebody peer pressure in a locker room. I'm gonna tell you what, it takes backbone to stand up as a young kid. You know what I mean? It takes backbone. I've been in a locker room and I played with a guy. He'd be mad at me too, so I ain't gonna call his name. Maybe I should call his name, but hey, I played with a guy. He is that young ninth grader that moved up. Man, he ain't the only one. That'd be a lie. There's others. But I'm gonna tell you what, when everybody is older dudes, and as a senior, they's gonna go out and do whatever. After practice or whatever it be. he wasn't gonna do it. He just stood for what he believed. Now, I'm not talking about he went over and said, I ain't doing all that, and start mouthing about it. He just went on along his way and he wasn't gonna do that. And I've told him to his face, hey man, I respect you more than you ever know for that.
Set the example. Set
That's
the example. Howie, I'll throw it over to you.
Sam, I want to go back to your UNA days. You won, how many national championships did you win at UNA?
3.
What do you do with those rings? You still got those rings, or what happened to those?
Yeah, they're in my house, and they're in a drawer. They're in a drawer in my house. I don't, and I'll be honest with you, I don't ever wear them because when I was coaching full time, I was like, I ain't wearing. And now I have wore before because my daughters like it some kind of something when they was little said, Daddy, will you let that ring or would you wear it just to show my class? I have done that once or twice, but I don't wear them. And the reason I didn't wear them because in my heart's like, I don't want to wear that ring. I want to win another one. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm not going to sit there and show off a ring. You know what I mean? It ain't about your outers anyway. That ring one day will rust in the ground, or those rings, whatever. It'll rust in the ground. Yeah, I'm very appreciative. Ain't that? Hey, brother Phil's got a ring. He knows he does.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. Yeah. Hey,
Follow what you're saying on
a lot of blood, sweat, and
to follow what you're saying on that. I don't wear my ring either because that's a label, and that doesn't define me. That does not identify me, and that's not my legacy. It's what happened on the field, the relationships you made and the friendships you made. That was the most important thing.
Relationships. Amen. You got that right. No doubt about it. You nailed it right there because it's about relationships for sure.
Yeah, talking about relationships, you called me a little bit earlier before we went on the air, and we mentioned our friend Smash's name. And
yeah.
He told me that when he was at UNA with you, you had a game day ritual or some type of food you had to eat every day or before every game. And he would run and get it for you and bring it back to you. What was that?
Oh, Lord. Smash. I probably, he probably could tell all kind of little things I did. I don't know, probably crazy stuff. Yeah.
He said he had to go and get you some type of sandwich and you drunk, I think, milk with it.
I know he probably did. I'm sure he probably did. And probably trying to mess with me on that too, a little bit, knowing him.
So let me ask you this. I ask a lot of people this. So let me ask you this real quick. Did you have any game day rituals as a player or a coach or superstitions that you had to do?
I think everybody does. I mean, maybe not everybody, but I think people, you know what I mean? I think people probably do. And as a player, I mean, I know there was superstition. You know what I mean? This sounds the craziest thing ever, I guess. Maybe not too bad. I don't know. But I used to wear, you know how you wear knee pads? Now, nobody wears knee pads, I don't reckon. If they do, they're just about a quarter size, it looks like.
Right.
But I wore knee pads up under my knee pads. I don't know why I did that. I just always did. I did it in high school. I did it in college. Those dudes I played linebacker with, when that first started happening in practice, the first time I was there, we was in 4 days and stuff. And I'd put those, when we got pads, I'd put those pads up on my knees. I really don't know how that come about. And I just did it. And those dudes were like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? That's crazy or whatever. But I did it. I don't know why, but I did. I didn't ever have a messed up knee. I didn't ever really get hurt. I mean, I had broke hand and stuff like that in high school. and I fell in the shower as a ninth grader and broke vertebrae in my back. Had to wear a corset my 10th grade year. Had metal rods sticking out my butt when I got in the linebacker stance, and all the dudes made fun of me. But when I was a senior, I messed my knee up bad and all that. I didn't get the first quarter of the first game.
Yeah.
Blew my knee out. So that knee pad didn't really help then. So it wasn't no good.
Right. Phil, I'll turn it back over to you, buddy.
You what?
I want to talk. Let's talk about your football camp. I've never been one of them. I'd love to come observe, be a part of.
Yeah.
I enjoy what you do for these young people. What will we see if we come to that camp? I know you have a lot of coaches that come in. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes. We'll probably have, to be honest with you, about 30 coaches coming there, because there's a lot of guys that, and a lot of them I've coached that, that not through the years I hadn't been that way. One thing about this year is we had to move the camp. We always did it the third Friday or Saturday in June. And the camp, we're doing it, of course, June the 7th. And in college ball, if you have camps, it's right during that time, if that makes sense, because they get that short window. If they do that first week of June camps, those next 3 weeks, that's their time. If they're going to go on vacation or something, they better go. Because when it's July, when the fireworks, I always said when they shoot the fireworks, it's football time. You know what I mean? You might as well say, because you blink your eye and it's football time. So I'd always say when they shot the fireworks, it's on, because it's time. And, but we had to move that. We'll have some guys that we'll have a lot of different guys. We got some retired guys that help colleges as an analyst, if that makes sense. But they're going to be there. They coach all over the place, and they'll be there coaching, and and they're good football coaches. I can tell you that. And there's just different. High school coaches coming from different places in the state, and we just have different guys coming in, and we have always every year at the camp. Make sure the varsity's going and really have somebody that's really keeping that rolling. But I want to go down there with those young, man, that's like to me looking at those young kids' eyes, and they're sitting there, fired up about football. If you take yourself back, you'll remember those days looking up to the varsity player, whatever we said a while ago. It's just the way it is. And I like looking people in the eye, and I love in their eye. And they're hungry and they're fired up, and they want to be the next whoever. And it'll be a fun day. But there'll be, like I said, about 30 coaches, and you'll see some guys that all over the place, and then there'll be some, as retired guys that maybe help do an analyst deal with people now, and it'll be a fun day. We'll have what it'll be is in that the is all individual type stuff. Whatever they play, offense, defense, individual, through from about 9, a little after 9 through 12:30. We'll feed them lunch. There'll be a speaker there. It's actually a guy I coached at UNA. We'll speak to them, and then he speaks it'll go to more of a group time. They will be a 7-on-7 with the older kids, and then pass rush row with the linemen, the bigs up front, and then with those young kids in the time we'll do some. It'll be more activity, ball handling stuff, if that makes sense. And then after about 45 minutes after we start and do that, it'll be the next 45 minutes to an hour, we'll play air ball and let them have fun. And then there'll be a speaker at the end. And good, not because I coached him too, but not because I coached him, just the way he is and the way he handles people. He actually is a guy that trains. He does others too. He'll do anybody, but he trains guys like for the NFL Combine. Number of those young kids will love hearing about that. But he'll tell them a bigger message than pro football stuff.
Of course, Coach too. I'm sure this is open to any kids at the the grade level that y'all are young kids up to varsity. So you want as many to sign up as they can. Of course, you can give out the information to get kids signed up because any kind of camp like this is great for kids. The competition level is great, and it inspires these young people to see people that are successful on a higher level because it might inspire a young man to be a speaker, a young man to be a football coach in the future. That's what these camps are about, I think.
The grade levels is 3rd grade through the 12th grade. The high school will be on one field. The 9 through 12 will be on one field. And then probably, it may be the game field, practice field, whatever. The younger kids, be on a separate field because they don't need to interact or, they don't need to be doing stuff around the olders and something happen, they collide or whatever. The 9 through 12 actually wears the headgears in the camp. The young kids, they don't, of course, wear headgear in the camp or whatever, a helmet. And, but you can go, I don't have a way to show you this, and I'm sorry I don't, but you can go www.footballforchrist.org. Go up in the top right corner and it'll give you where you can register for the, and that's you'll be able to register instead of having to mail it or whatever.
We'll link that on our site after the interview. So if anybody's looking for it, it'll be on the pinned pages for River-City-Media. Bill, you got to.
Or it's the.
Oh, y'all take the reins.
Go ahead, Sam.
It was football 4. I know it used to be football 4, the word FOR, Christ, and that's what it'll say on their t-shirts. But on the web, we had to do 4 just because that's the way it was. We couldn't use the other. Football for Christ. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, just come and it'll be pinned on our pinned section on River-City-Media.
Thank you. And if they're and I'm not trying to be I don't know the word to use, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, but I'm not trying to be a behind or something. If anybody that maybe interested in sponsoring that camp, I don't care if it's 50 cents, a dime. The camp cost is $15. I try to pay these coaches that come from everywhere at least expense.
Yeah.
Some that don't want to take nothing, sometimes, you know what I mean? It's just the way it, but you can't get them to come back over and over and over, and you don't give them nothing, they ain't going to keep doing it. Over the years, they would, when we first started, the coach would say, this camp don't cost anything. Don't give me nothing. Well, yeah, it went on a little bit, but after a while, my heart those first couple of years, I was like, that's out. We got to give them something. You know what I mean? And, but I sure appreciate if anybody could. I don't care if it's, like I said, I don't care if it's 50 cents. I may not have should have said that on y'all's show.
Absolutely should have said it because that's what we're here for. Because
Okay.
we believe in camp just like everybody else. We're glad to have you share that message on here. So,
Hey, well, Coach, just to tell you this, we've spent a lot of time on radio, and it's not for the money. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, I hear you. No doubt.
Coach, it's interesting you said that. I was going to ask you some of the coaches that are on opposing teams, they'll put their regular season aside to come work a camp like this
Yeah.
just for to work with the kids.
Yes, sir. They'll be, they'll be guys that, they may open up against each other. Matter of fact, Coach Grant at Ider, I didn't know this, but he said today he was talking about some of his kids coming to the camp. Actually, he's going to work the camp too. And he said, me and Riley be open up next year. First game. I was like, no, I didn't know that. And I just laughed or whatever. But there'll be a lot of local school guys. I hope, I pray they've said some that would come. And then, of course, those guys, like I said, all over the state or whatever that'll come and work the camp. But a lot of them play each other. And I've seen guys over the years now, this camp, it's been special to me because guys, there may be guys, we all have crazy times, tough things happen in our life where a coach is out of job, he don't have a job. Well, he leaves that camp and he's got a job.
Yeah.
Just because he worked with, other coaches that he may not know real well or whatever, then they leave there and they got a job. That's pretty special to me. And they, just become good friends or whatever.
Coach, and then I'll throw it back to you after this question, Howie. In the world of especially high school football, like Phil said, I've done radio for X number of years. Phil does it. Howie's done it. And we do it to expose the kids too. Just like you get to know the coaches. You get to make relationships with it. And the coaching heart, especially in the sport of football, if you are there for their kids, boy, you can get a lot of love from coaches and they'll do anything for you. What is the heart?
It cut out a little bit. I'm sorry.
What is the heart of a coach? What is that coaching heart like inside?
Oh, it just coaching hearts, just, you're going to take care of your kids, whatever. And then when there's somebody, like you said, that is willing by the radio, by the internet, by whatever, and they're trying to make a difference in that kid's life, you want to coach his good side, buddy, you start building his kids up.
Amen.
You know what I mean? You start pumping them up to, I'm not saying, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, sir. I do.
High five them and what they're trying to do, and they work their butts off for you, and hey, you're very appreciative, buddy, when somebody builds them up, puts their name in the paper, says their name, like I said, on the radio or whatever. That's a big deal. Crap, because that, you take ownership, that's yours. You know what I mean? That you're not their father, but during those months, and really it's a never ending deal the way it is. It's saying, it ain't. It goes from, the fall, you play in the fall, to winter workouts, to spring training, to the summer, and the summer's wide open. It's nonstop. It just goes year round. You know what I mean? And it's just like you doggone kids. You just love them. When somebody wants to lock arms with them, build them up however they can, buddy, you'll get on a good coach's good side fast. But and then vice versa. if you want to put them down, you'll get on Coach's bad side real fast. You know what I mean? Ain't talking about you know what I'm saying.
Yes,
Just
sir.
people in gent ever. You'll get on Coach's bad side real quick. That's for sure.
And Howie, I'll come over to you. And this ain't really a question, but Coach, in my years, especially in the last 3 since I started this podcasting network, you just described, I think, what's the biggest blessing in my life, and that's my relationship with the kids I've met through here and the coaches I've met through here, and it has been a blessing to who I am and changed who I am.
Yes, and I'm telling you, hey, if you they wouldn't be where they're at, the coaches, if they were disrespectful to everybody they met. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna tell you, like I said, if you're hey, you set a kid on this show with a coach, and that coach see you, hey, you're building that kid up. I mean, big time. Well, buddy, you got a thumbs up real quick, because they gonna be fired up about that. Because really, according to what time of year it might be, the same coach chewed that guy's butt out and got on his butt real hard in the weight room that day. You know what I mean? And he laughed, and when he, and he's gonna be that kid, man. My daddy used to say you got to feed them a little sweet feed every once in a while. And what he meant is, of course, Papaw really told my daddy, said, Clint, you always hard on those kids. Sometimes. And he had wagon horses. He said, I tell you, those wagon, Clint, do I always doggone whip them and stuff? Pull the wagon, I'll whip them, whatever, get them to go home. He said, but late that evening, I'll take a bucket down there. I'll put my arm around, and I'll feed them some sweet feed. They'll pull the load if you'll feed them some. I ain't ever forget that. Matter of fact, there's a big D lineman I coached at West Alabama. If he is on this show right now, you might think I'm making it up, but his name, I called him Sweet Feed. I called him. That's what I still call him, Sweet Feed.
That's awesome. Howie?
All right, Sam, talking about West Alabama. We spoke about this the other day on the phone. You've got 2 players that played for you at West Alabama that has became famous in the wrestling world. They are the Usos.
The Usos. Yeah. Jonathan and Josh, too. Jonathan, because of whatever reason, I don't know, I was not there. You know what I mean? He wasn't able to play when I first got there. He was not eligible to play. And then Josh played linebacker, who is the Usos. Okay, I'll get their first name mixed up on the Usos. I don't know if they got a first name. They probably and something Uso.
It's Jenny J. Uso.
Yeah, that's right. But Uso played for me, and I didn't really. I didn't have no idea he'd be a wrestler. But if you'd have watched him play linebacker, you'd have had I could have. Somebody told me when they did, I said, that ain't surprising, because he is wide open. Yeah. His best was blitz. He just wanted to go. He wasn't reading nothing. He was going to go knock somebody out if he could. You know what I mean? He just wide open. For sure.
Yeah, I brought that up because me and Randy, we have a wrestling podcast here on River City, and we're big wrestling fans. And I didn't realize that you had coached. I knew you coached one of them. I didn't know you or realize you coached both of them until you put a tweet out a couple years ago, and they replied to it and reposted your tweet. And it was saying that you said you always said at West Alabama. What was that?
A saying of, I mean, I still would say it, whatever, all the time with kids. You can't, hoot with the Owls at night and soar with the Eagles during the day.
Mm.
And I say that all the time because you can. I mean, you go out and you live all night long. You probably ain't giving all you got for the whatever team that next day, whatever your color is, whatever the mascot is, whatever school it is. If you live a nightlife and you that one, yeah, oh yeah, I like looking people in the eyes, and probably. But if you're out and about, hooting owls at night, your eyes is gonna tell the next morning. We're in the weight room about 5:30 or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever it be. I just made that up, but it could be, or county fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Station deal. I know I didn't mean that. The one at Fort Payne or whatever.
Right. But yeah, you've coached a lot of players over the years and everything, and you told me the other day that you still have a lot of them that came to some of your first Football for Christ, comes up to you now and reminds you, hey, I was at that first or second or third one.
Yeah.
And you said that means a lot to you when they come up and mention that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what. This happened probably that was probably 2020 or 21. Mickey Kahn at Clemson. Mickey Kahn played at Alabama with Roman Cole about that same time in the early 90s when they won the national championship. Mickey Kahn called me. Hey, Sam, when you going to do that Football for Christ camp? And I said, man, I don't even know. Well, it was right the 19th. I was like, I don't even know if we'll be able to do it. And he said, no, and because I'm going to bring my kids to that camp. Not do whatever. But Mickey was at camp. And he was at the first couple, when we first started at 5.
Yeah.
Just guys like that, and guys, like you said, just the others, I mean, I could name a bunch of dudes, and sorry, my mind's going crazy. But I just thought that was something Mickey, you know what I mean? He really, he could have a air course in a college. He'd want them, or whatever. But they could be doing anything. But his thing about Football for Christ, of course, he is. He puts the good Lord number one. That's for sure. That's why I love him. Guy I worked with for a number of years. Well, about 7 years, I guess it was. John Gross is up there as an analyst at Clemson with them now. Yeah, he's a good guy too. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil, you got any more questions?
Phil, you got any follow-up? I think we dropped Phil, Howie.
Okay.
Phil, you got any follow-up?
Yeah, he may hear you.
He was in the middle of being under a bird attack, I think. So I think we dropped him.
Yeah.
So, but let's put out there real quick. Football for Christ, Section High School, June the 7th.
June the 7th.
June 7th at Section High School. Go to football 4, the number 4.
Number 4 Christ.org.
.org.
Yeah, and they can register. They'll look in the top right corner. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, they'll see where you can register. Yeah.
Be sure. And it doesn't have to be people just from the state of Alabama. It could be Tennessee, Georgia, or
yeah, we've had different. Matter of fact, we've done it out of the state before. We did it at we did that camp up in Murfreesboro back. I'm trying to think of the year, and I'm very sorry. It might have been 2000, maybe 2010, something like that. but we've done it different places. We've done it. I mean, we've just done it different schools. That's for sure.
Now, is there a cost to?
If the kids come, I'd do it in a cow pasture.
Is there a cost for the kids to show up and do it?
$15 if they do it, and this ain't a big deal. Most will just walk up, but it's $15 if you pre-register, like we're talking about that site. If you just walk up, it's $20. They'll get a T-shirt, and they'll get, of course, we'll feed them lunch that day and stuff. And so, I mean, with the instruction and all that, it'll be well worth it, I think.
Hey, Phil, did we get you back? Do you got anything?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you want to follow up?
Coach, if there's anything that some of us flunkies can do to show up and help or volunteer, I'd love to come observe.
Yeah, please come. I'd love to come.
Anyway, because there's several coaches that'll be involved in it. I know.
Yes, there'll be a few coaches, not unless they're telling me a field they're going to be there. You know what I mean? I hope they're off that site. Really, with the camp knowing it costs, we really don't have a lot of people pre-register over the years. We'll have like 5, maybe 10 sometimes, and then show up in the camp. And there's over 100 people. You know what I mean? Players.
Yes.
And just today, I hadn't looked at it, of course, right before, but earlier today when I was leaving school, right before I left school, I looked, and there's been 44 already pre-register. If it's like if there's 44 pre-register, God, we may, y'all better pray for me. We may run out of food, run out of T-shirts. We'll be going to some restaurant and get food. I don't know. Yeah, because there'll be quite a bit, I would think. I mean, there's some guys. The guy I mentioned earlier that I coached at UNA, great guy. We had actually did the football for Christ a couple of years at Gardendale High School. He was there, and he's at Brewer, and he's going to bring his team to section. And there's others that I can't name all the schools that's going to bring their team. So, yeah, y'all might ought to start praying they keep pre-registering. That's for sure.
Hey, that's all right, Coach, because I think, coming to section, it's a tribute to you because there's still lots and lots of coaches around that know of you, know who you are, and know what you're about. And, and I can't, I don't know any dad, any coach that wouldn't recommend them come to your camp.
Well, I'd love for them too, and I'm not perfect by any means. I mean, you have like anybody you meet through the years. I mean, some people like you and some people think you're half crazy. You know what I mean? Especially in coaching. In coaching, you're sitting over there and you've worked your kids' butt off trying to win. And you're sitting over there on that other sideline, and for 48 minutes or 60 minutes, whatever it be, you're trying to beat the wax out of that other team. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a time you're not friends or whatever, and sometimes things happen where it leaves and people's not exactly high-fiving or whatever. And I pray if that's ever happened with me, and I'm sure it has, but ain't no doubt probably it has. I pray that somehow I can see them and tell them I love them, because I don't hold nothing against nobody that I know of. And maybe I can tell them I love them. They'll bring their kids to this camp. And a lot of others will tell them a message they don't have to hear from me, my slow talking self. But I'm very glad that y'all would do this and have me on here. And what y'all do, I mean, I'm honored to be on here. I started to do it because Howie, Chaney, and I was afraid Jeff Allen was going to be on here, Brother Phil.
Hey, I'm sure he's okay.
No, if he'd have on here, I'd have tell him I love him too.
Coach, I tell you what, we'll make you a deal. You use us anytime you want information out about your camp year round,
Thank
photos, posts. We're more than happy to be involved with the way we can and maybe spread the word out a little bit because it's a great cause. And speaking for Phil, Howie, and myself, we're privileged and honored. And thank you very much for showing up today. And we thank you.
And God bless y'all, man. God bless you. I know our times may be up or whatever, but when in the camp or whatever, I'd be honored to send y'all pictures, not of me or other whatever, those kids, because those kids, man, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? East side, they see the way it is now. They see that's a big deal. With young kids to the seniors or whatever, they think that's big deal. Man, look, do you see our picture on there? Whatever.
You send us a picture of every kid that you want to send it to us, and we'll make sure we get it posted. And Phil,
Thank
if you're going out to camp, you probably get a few for us too.
Yeah, I can find a few photos. Yeah, that would be good because I'd love to come out and watch, get involved, or whatever it is I might do. Because with the young people, it's like doing scoreboard. That's what it's all about. Is raising these young kids up, making them special because they have a platform where they're kind of heroes for a short period of time, and it don't last long.
Yeah, sure.
And Coach, if you want to get information out ever, 2025 camp 26, you tell Howie Chaney, and he'll get it up on our website and get it up going.
Amen.
And we appreciate you. Howie, you got anything to close?
Sam, I know we're about to get out of here, but I do want to touch base on when I asked you to be on here. You told me the story of how it switched from 5 to section this year. Would you go into that real quick for us?
Yeah, we're going to do just, we've always did the olders and the youngers, you know what I mean? And, this camp, the first 2 years was at Fife High School. That's where it started. Like I said earlier, and I ain't trying to repeat myself, but we were going to I talked to Coach Benefield, and we had talked a couple of times. We talked back during the fall, but just short one time. Was talking about something. Then I talked about this a little bit, and he was like, "Yeah, let's talk about it after the fall." We talked about it, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And it was just going to be young kids. And what I was going to do is the young kids go and get varsity players to help work the camp. You know what I mean? And then there was other coaches that wanted their varsity kids there. And Riley Edwards, Coach Edwards at section, he was really wanting the kids, his high school kids to be able to come. And one thing led the other, and it ended up at section. Yeah.
So it worked out great for you because you end up having not only the little kids, but also the big kids there as well.
Yes. We'll have a bunch of them, I think, the way it looks. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's an awesome thing, Sam. Like Randy said, Phil said, anything you need from us, you let us know. You know how to get in contact with me. And if I can't get it done, I'll get a hold of these other two guys. Like Randy said earlier, all three of us have been on the end of the radio broadcasting football. And people that's watched this understands why, because we got the face for radio, but not for football or for the video and everything. So, when I asked you the other night to be on here, I said, we want to get your pretty face on here where everybody can see it.
Yeah. Well, they didn't see a pretty face, that's for sure. But I'm honored to be here. No doubt about it.
But we want to thank you for being on here.
God bless you for doing this. No doubt.
Well, for Phil Harris, Randall Cunningham, for Coach Sam Brown, get out to the camp. Date again is June the 8th, correct?
On Friday, June the 7th, on Friday.
June the 7th. Everybody get out to the camp, and watch for updates here on River City Media. We'll make sure to get them out. Thank Coach Sam Graham for being here tonight, and Phil, go join in vacation. So for Randall Cunningham, Howie Chaney, Phil Harris, this is Beyond the Booth.
Yeah.